When you've got kids running around, you pretty much think about safety nonstop, right? You've got the car seats dialed in, the outlet covers are on, but if you ever stop to think about the pans you use to cook their meals every single day, well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into today. How to make your kitchen one of the safest rooms in the house for your family. So let's just start with this. That pan you use for scrambled eggs in the morning, or the one for spaghetti sauce at night, is it actually safe for your kids? I mean, really, truly safe? It turns out the answer isn't quite as straightforward as you'd hope. Okay, get ready for this number, because it's a big one. 2.3 million. Researchers discovered that a single scratch on a standard nonstick pan can release up to 2.3 million tiny microplastic particles right into your food. Wow. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. That alone is a pretty powerful reason to take a much closer look at what we're cooking with. So how do we get a handle on all this? Simple. Here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to expose the hidden dangers in those everyday pans. Then, we'll get to the good stuff, the safer options out there. We'll also learn how to be label detectives so we don't get fooled by marketing tricks. We'll touch on a couple of other things to watch out for, and then we'll wrap it all up with a super simple action plan you can start using tonight.
All right, let's dive right in. Section 1. We've got to talk about the problem with so many of those traditional nonstick pans that, let's be honest, most of us have in our kitchens. It's time to really understand what's going on.
So, the main villain in this story is a group of chemicals called PFAS. You've probably heard of the most famous one, Teflon, but it's part of this huge family of chemicals, and they have this really chilling nickname, forever chemicals. And why? Because they literally last forever. They don't break down in the environment, and they don't break down in our bodies. They just stick around.
And here's why this is so important for our kids. Their little bodies are just more sensitive to chemicals. Plus, think about it. They eat more food for their size compared to us, which means they can get a higher dose of this stuff. And the science is pretty clear. There's strong evidence linking PFAS to a weaker immune system, and other studies are pointing to possible connections with hormone disruption and even developmental delays.
And it's not just a long-term risk. There's an immediate one, too. You see, if a non-stick pan gets way too hot, it can actually release toxic fumes. And these fumes can make people feel like they have the flu for a bit. They even call it the Teflon flu. Now here's the crazy part. For pet birds, those same fumes can be instantly fatal. It's like the ultimate canary in the coal mine, but for our kitchens.
Okay, enough of the scary stuff. The good news, and there is really good news, is that there are amazing, totally safe, time-tested alternatives that work just as well, if not better. So let's talk solutions.
Let's look at the champions of safe cookware. First up, good old cast iron. This stuff is a workhorse, no synthetic coatings, and get this, it can actually add a little bit of healthy iron to your food. That's a huge win for kids who might be low on iron. Then you have enameled cast iron, which is fantastic for things like tomato sauce because the coating is totally non-reactive. Stainless steel, that's the durable, hygienic choice of pro chefs everywhere. And for baking or storing leftovers, you literally can't get any safer than pure glass or 100% ceramic. They are completely inert. Okay, so you're ready to buy a new pan, you walk into the store, and suddenly you're staring at this wall of boxes, all screaming different things at you. Eco-friendly! Green! It's confusing, right? Let's talk about how to see through the marketing hype, what's called greenwashing. This quote from Breast Cancer Prevention Partners just nails it. A company can say their pan is free of one specific chemical, like PFOA, and be telling the truth. But what they don't tell you is that they just swapped it for a slightly different but still potentially harmful chemical from that same forever chemical family. It's a really sneaky, misleading loophole.
So here it is, the most important thing to remember when you're shopping. When you see PFOA free, that does not mean PFAS free. It could still contain other chemicals from that family, like PTFE. What you really want to look for is a label that says PFAS free or PTFE free. Or, just skip the confusion entirely and stick with those classic materials we just talked about that don't need these coatings in the first place.
Now, PFAS gets all the headlines, but it's not the only thing we should be thinking about when it comes to cookware. To give you the complete picture, let's just quickly touch on a couple of other things to keep on your radar. This is a big one, and it comes directly from the FDA. They've actually put out warnings about lead being found in some imported cookware, especially stuff made from aluminum or brass. And as we all know, there's absolutely no safe level of lead, especially for children. So the advice is simple. Check what you have, and if it's on a warning list, get rid of it.
And what about silicone? It's everywhere, right? The muffin tins, the spatulas. Well, there's some new research suggesting that when you heat it up, some silicone bakeware might release chemicals called siloxanes. It's just another reason why something simple and inert, like a glass baking dish, is often your safest bet.
Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. We've talked about the problems, we've talked about the solutions. Now let's boil it all down into a super simple 3-step action plan you can literally start doing the minute this is over. Honestly, this is easier than it sounds. Step 1, go look at your nonstick pans right now. If you see any scratches or flakes, just toss it. It's not worth the risk. Step 2, be gentle with your cookware. Use wood or silicone utensils to avoid scratching the surface. And step 3, play matchmaker with your food and your pans. If you're making something acidic, like a tomato sauce, grab a non-reactive pan, like glass or enameled cast iron. Simple as that.
So from forever chemicals to the beautiful simplicity of cast iron, we've really explored the world of cookware. Look, the whole point of this isn't to scare you, it's to empower you, to give you the knowledge you need to make the best choices for your family. So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you know all this, what's the first simple change you're going to make in your kitchen?